What's up, YouTube? What's up, Twitch? This is your guy, HQ, and this is another episode of the Yankees Morning Brew. Shout out to KOD Nation. Shout out to the Yankees universe. We are here, and a good morning. I'm waiting for my coffee to be finished. But if you're tuning in on Instagram, I got Instagram going right next to us. If you're tuning in on Instagram, jump over to the YouTube, jump over to the Twitch, and join us for this conversation. But my guys, a good morning, another good morning after a great Yankees win. The Yankees beat the Baltimore Orioles yesterday, 6-2. We've seen it, have some highlights going on right here as we talk, but the game overall was phenomenal. From beginning to end, Luis Severino is showing that the Luis Severino of 2022, he's a more mature Severino than he was back in 2018, 2019, and 2020 as well. So from what we're seeing from Severino, got to tip my hat off. I love what I'm seeing from Sevy. I love what I'm seeing. The fact that Luis Severino at this stage in his career is not just a fastball slider pitcher. He's throwing in a cutter. He's mixing it up with a phenomenal changeup that is just lights out. Oh my God, Luis Severino is looking like that ace that we all knew he could be. But before I continue, if I may, I just want to shout out to all my former co-workers and everyone who's working in the EMS field. It is EMS week. So as somebody that worked as a first responder in the Bronx, I worked over for Bronx, Lebanon, which is Bronx Special Care. But shout out to all my guys who's working the field right now. Stay safe out there. Stay hydrated as well. But as we continue, a great win. Severino, phenomenal. Nestor Cortez came out. He had a press conference yesterday to address some stuff that happened when he was in high school. But hey, accountability as an adult is the best character trait that you can have. Now, on to the next three. Stanton, Judge, and Anthony Rizzo. Oh, my guy Ron, what is good, my guy? Salute. Hope all is well. Them damn Yankees, they are playing good, but so are those Mets. Even though the Mets lost last night, yesterday, Ron, even though the Mets lost yesterday, it was a great game. Overall, tough game, tight game. I love it. And the Seattle Mariners, low-key, their team to watch for. But my guy, DSJ, Delano Still Jr., what is up, my guy? Hope all is well. Thanks for tuning in. You put in the Instagram chat, number 28, here we come. Yes, sir. 28. With this team that we have right now, it wouldn't be that far out of possibility. Let me just read off real quick because this was a graphic that they put up yesterday in the game. So through the first 35 games of the season, the Yankees have the best record since 1995 in the wild card era behind the Chicago Cubs, who eventually went on to win the World Series. But when it comes to Yankees team, this is the third best start in franchise history. 1939, the Yankees in 35 games went 28-7. 1928, through 35 games, they went 28-7. And in 2022, through 35 games, we are 26-9. Eventually, every Yankee team, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Yankee teams on this list. And every one of them went to the World Series. And there's only one of them that lost in the World Series. And that was the 1926 Yankees. My man, Jigga Man Portito, what is good? Let's see, I just don't want Aaron Judge to help lead us to another World Series and then bounce in the offseason. Listen, DSJ, I get that. I understand that. But we love the team and the players that come along, they're there. When it comes down to it, The Yankees have no name on the back of their jerseys. It's all about the team. So as much as I love me, Aaron Judge, as much as Aaron Judge means to this team, if there's a situation where Aaron Judge has to be traded during the season or Aaron Judge leaves for whatever reason in the offseason, I tip my hat to him because Aaron Judge is 30 going on 31 when he hits free agency. He's demanding a 10-year contract, 350 to 360 million. Yesterday after the Yankees game, another Yankee content creator that I watched, 161st River Ave, he was talking about it. And I was to the conclusion, and I said it yesterday, hey, the Yankees should try to throw at Judge a 6-year contract worth 300 million. If you don't want to go for that 10-year contract, 360, offer him a 6-year, $300 million contract, 50 million a year. Give him an option after the 3rd or 4th year so he can hit free agency. Let's see, Jigga Man. It said Judge wants to be a Yankee for life. Fingers crossed. Hey, fingers crossed as well. I'm throwing it out there too. Look at this. But if Judge wants that type of deal, 360, and I'm saying the Yankees should throw him a 6-year deal at 300 million. Hey, it's not my money. What do I care? But if he has an option after the 4th year, which allows him to go back into free agency to try to re-up on some more money, try to, secure more years. But thinking about it, it may set a bad precedent when it comes to future contracts for future players. If Judge gets a $50 million contract, Juan Soto's going to want a $60 million contract, and so on and so on. So as much as I love Judge, if the numbers are good, if the numbers are there, if the contract makes sense, sign him. Give him $35 million a year for 8 seasons, however you want to do it, but we've seen how the Yankees play out these contracts, especially when it's, their quote unquote superstar. We've seen it play out with Derek Jeter after he was 2nd in the American League in MVP voting. When he got his last contract with the Yankees, we've seen how that played out through the media. We've seen what happened with Bernie Williams, my guy Bernie. We've seen what happened with Jorge Posada when he hit free agency after winning a batting title. So when it comes to the Yankees, they're pretty reserved and conservative when it comes to dishing out contracts to their own players. When it comes to free agency, and they got to get somebody that the name of the game was sign them, pay them, and bring them over. But it just all has to play out. Like I said, if the numbers make sense, bring back Judge. I will bring back Judge. If the numbers make sense, bring back Judge. But you got to realize, a 10-year deal or an 8-year deal, in year 31, when he's 31, it'll look good. When he's 32, it'll look good. When he's 33, 34, that's when it starts to hit you. But the end part of that contract is going to look so disgusting. We've seen it with the A-Rod contract. And the A-Rod contract was him coming off of 3 MVPs, him being A-Rod, so many different incentives to bring it to 300 million. And we've seen how that end of that contract played out. You've seen how the end of the Robinson Cano contract played out. You've seen what happened with the Jacoby Ellsbury contract, and so on and so on. There's so many different contracts that the end years didn't pan out. And this is not the steroid era. When you had in the steroid era, players who were 36, 38, being able to have a little extra sugar in their coffee to carry themselves through 162 games. So if the numbers work out, I want Judge back. Trust me, I want Judge back. But if the numbers work out and the contract is reasonable, sign him. If it's a situation that we're in the middle of the season, I don't think it's going to happen. But if we go on a major downfall, start losing so many games, we're out of it, then if a deal presents himself for Judge, I'll trade him. But as of right now, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think the Yankees front office are trying to trade him or going to be too keen in trying to trade him, especially when he's having the season that he's having, when we are having the season that we are having. I just think it just needs to play out a little bit different when it comes to Judge's contract. I want to see him back, trust me. But to this graphic, shout out to Jigga Man Porto for making it. But when it comes to the aforementioned Aaron Judge in the middle, And then you got Anthony Rizzo and Giancarlo Stanton. This is the first time in all of Yankees history that we have 3 players that have double-digit home runs 35 games into the season. Let that sit in and just think about that. With the history of the Yankees, with all the different players that played on the Yankees, this is the first time that in 35 games to start a season, we have 3 players that have double-digit home runs. Judge has 12, Stanton has 11, and Rizzo has 10. You know, there's nothing more that you can say. Anthony Rizzo, he started off the season as, carrying our team super hot, came back to a cold stretch, but Anthony Rizzo has stepped it up, man. I am happier that we got Rizzo. We didn't offload all those prospects and that money to get Olsen from Minnesota. From Oakland, but Giancarlo Stanton as well. Giancarlo Stanton is at 290 on the season after he started off the season high and then went through his cold spell, but got some more numbers. Since 2001, Giancarlo Stanton has played 124 games as a DH. He has a 264 batting average with 31 home runs and a 492 slugging percentage. Since he is in the outfield, when he's in the outfield since 2021 and 41 games in the outfield, Stanton is hitting 318. Stanton has 14 home runs, and his slugging percentage is 630. Now, I said it before, if the Yankees could figure out a situation where we could have Judge and Stanton rotating in the outfield, rotating from right field to center field, rotating like that, then I think this will help out our team for the long run. If we're able to keep Judge and Stanton healthy and able to keep them just rotating between right field, center field, have Judge play center field 3 games out the season or 2 games out the 2 games out the week, 3 games out the week, Stanton as well, 2 games out the week, 3 games out the week. I think that's our better lineup when it's like that. Let me see right here. Ron says that makes sense. Cashman and Steinbrenners have been much more frugal in recent years. Absolutely. They have been. And Hal's learning from his mistakes, because back in the days before the Yankees dished out that big contract extension to Alex Rodriguez, there was a trade scenario in place where we was going to send off Alex Rodriguez to the Los Angeles Angels, and the Angels were going to re-up him on his deal. We were going to get back Sean Figgins. We were going to get back Irvin Santana. We were going to get back a young outfielder. I forgot his name, but it makes nothing because he's not in the majors anymore. But we were going to get back a haul for Alex Rodriguez. But Hal was the one who pulled back the brakes on that deal and wanted to re-up A-Rod for that massive extension. But hey, it worked out for 2009, got us 1 championship. DSJ said, do you think the solution is for the owners and the MLBPA to shorten contract life like what the NBA does? I'm not too sure. The difference between like the NBA and MLB is there's no salary cap in the MLB. It's just we have the luxury tax, which is far more complicated than the NBA luxury tax, but the luxury tax in baseball kind of acts like a salary cap. The different tiers that they have, the more you get into it, the more money you have to give up. And, there's some teams that look at the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pittsburgh Pirates payroll is, I think it's under 27 million. And I think they got back last year from collective bargaining 36 or 38 million. So the luxury tax alone that teams pay into it, other teams use the luxury tax to pay for their payroll for the year, and then they use money that they get during the year for promotion and stuff like that. It's different tiers to it, but I think the players need to start taking a shorter length of a deal in order to get the higher annual value. So if you want 50 million a year or 40 million a year, you sign that 1 or 2, a 2 or 3 year deal. Like, look what happened in Minnesota. You got Carlos Correa, who was a top shortstop, the best shortstop in free agency. He didn't sign that massive contract. He didn't sign that 8-year deal, that 10-year deal, that 6-year deal. He signed a 3-year, $130 million deal from the Minnesota Twins. And that was after the Yankees took $50 million off of their payroll. So the Yankees helped them out by, taking money off of their payroll, but signing Correa. And I know we can live in a hypothetical, and we could all look at what if the Yankees offered them that deal. Hey, you don't know if the Yankees offered him a deal. We don't know if the Yankees didn't offer him a deal. Who knows that, the only reason he even signed that deal was because the Yankees didn't want to give him that 6 or 8 year contract. We never know. But if I was the Yankees, that Jacoby Ellsbury contract, it still stings. It still feels like, lemon juice on an open wound. So I'm kind of scared when it comes to giving contract extensions like that. Let's see what my guy Ron says. Is that hopefully this Yankees team is built right all around, because back in the day, the Yankees were a power hitting team, but when it came to the playoffs, they struggled at playing small ball, and it hurt them absolutely, especially in 2006. If you guys remember 2006 versus Kenny Rogers, oh my God, that Yankee lineup had so many all-stars. We had a Johnny Damon, we had a Derek Jeter, we had a Bobby Abreu, we had Alex Rodriguez, we had Gary Sheffield coming back off an injury, playing first base. We had Hideki Matsui, Jason Giambi. But in the 2006 playoffs, A-Rod was put in the 7th hole, and it was just god awful. We couldn't hit the left side of a barn. But then you had Kenny Rogers, who was a former Yankee also, who never did anything with the Yankees, looking like the next best thing. He was looking like Cy Young out there. He was looking like Sandy Koufax, even though he had sticky substance on his glove. But I digress. Hey, the NNR hour. What is good, my guy? What is good? Hope all is well. Salute to you. You're on Instagram Live. Come join us on the YouTube world. Come join us on the Twitch world. But get back into these lineups. With the Yankees lineup yesterday, solid. DJ LeMahieu was 0 for 5. He had 3 strikeouts. That's not very DJ LeMahieu-esque. The machine wasn't very much the machine yesterday. My guy Worldwide L, top of the morning. Hope all is well, L. Hope all is well. But on to the rest of the lineup. We had Josh Donaldson. Josh Donaldson was 3 for 4. He had a home run. He had a couple singles. So Josh Donaldson is starting to turn it around. Josh Donaldson started the season batting well below 200, but as he has gone on, he has brought it up. He has brought it up to 245. So he's living in the 240 range as of now. So shout out to my guy Josh Donaldson. Antonio Rizzo. What is good, my guy? Anthony Rizzo yesterday was 1 for 5. He broke his little struggle bus with a home run yesterday. Josh Donaldson and Anthony Rizzo went back-to-back. We had Giancarlo Stanton with a beamer. If this was any other stadium, that probably would have been a home run. But the new dynamics in Camden Yards made it a double. Anthony Rizzo was able to score. Stanton was thrown out trying to extend from second and third. But then Gleyber Torres himself was 2 for 3. Gleyber Day. Gleyber Torres, as I think he's figured it out. But then you got Joey Gallo, who, after having a home run in the last game in Chicago, was 0 for 5, 4 strikeouts. I'm sorry, Joey Gallo. You had the golden sombrero, but in his first 19 games of the season, Joey Gallo was batting 153, 2 home runs, and 3 RBIs, right? But in his last 12 games, he's turned it around. In his last 12 games, Joey Gallo is batting 300 on the dot, 3 home runs, 4 RBIs, and he has an on-base percentage that is over 1,000 at 1.032. So from what we're seeing from Joey Gallo, coming off of his, his struggle, his early season struggles, what we're getting from Joey Gallo is we're seeing a guy who can hit the ball, who can drive in runs, who can extend at bats. I think Joey Gallo is 3rd in the major leagues when it comes to at bats. pitches per at bat. He's third in the major leagues or fourth in the major leagues, but he could extend the at bat. He could draw out a walk. Him and Aaron Hicks are very similar with that, but they're very similar with low batting average also. But after Gallo, we had IKF, who had a hit the last game in Chicago, was 1 for 3 last night. Love what I'm seeing for IKF. That defense was a bit shaky in Chicago, but hey, it's Chicago. Apparently Tim Anderson has said it. Tim Anderson struggles in that infield. I don't know what it is. They need a new groundskeeper crew, something with it going, but something has to happen. Oh, I got a question from Instagram. My guy, the end of the hour, said, can you see Rizzo, Stanton, and Judge hitting 40-plus home runs apiece? Stanton and Judge, yes. Rizzo may come short of it. Anthony Rizzo may have anywhere from 30 to 40 home runs, but we never know. We just got to see what happens for the rest of the season. But I love the question, though. Great question. Trevino, my guy Trevino, last night was 2 for 4. He was phenomenal. He had a 3-run home run. He had a single as well. But what Trevino was doing behind the plate, right? And even after his home run yesterday, the first thing he did when he got back into that dugout was go and embrace Kyle Higashioka. The game before, when he was speaking to Meredith during the post game, he credited knowing how to pitch, knowing certain pitchers to Higashioka. He credits Higashioka for telling him what Garrett Cole likes. He credits Higashioka for telling him what to look for when it comes to Jameson Taillon. So with the greatness that we're seeing when it comes defensively from Higashioka and Trevino, getting a little bit of offense at the bottom of the lineup helps out as well, especially when you got Aaron Hicks going 1 for 4, breaking his slump that he was in. Aaron Hicks was 0 for his last 28, 2 for his last 35. So seeing him getting a hit yesterday, Aaron Hicks is coming out of that doghouse. But onto the pitching side, Luis Severino, Sevy, he pitched 6 innings. He gave up 1 hit, and that 1 hit was a home run, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. There's nothing more that I can say for Severino. That slider he was throwing yesterday, it was looking like a knuckle curve. That's how much movement it had on it. That pitch was filthy last night. On to Johnny Lasagna. He did give up a hit, but it was a blue pit. It was a blue pit to center field from Cedric Mullins. But the next batter right after that got 98 miles an hour from the sinker right in on the hands for a double play. So it seems like Loizica started to get out of his own funk, because Loizica, I don't know what it was, but John Lasagna, I think it was him just trying to repeat what he had last year, the success he had last year. When you figure that, you want to have a great season, a continuation, you try to be too perfect. And when you try to be too perfect, you're not perfect. It's just like if you're working at a job and you try to focus on 6 tasks at once, but everything is 20%. If you just focus on that one thing you're supposed to do and do that 90 to 100%, you'll be successful. And I think that's what Johnny Lasagna is figuring out right now. But on to Chad Greene. Oh, 1 second. On to Chad Greene. Chad Greene last night pitched the inning, 0 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks, and he had a strikeout. He did get taxed. He did get taxed a little bit. There was an at bat where he did throw 12 pitches to one player. So he was taxed on pitches. So I don't think we'll be seeing Chad Greene tonight. It may be an off day for him just because of that. But then you had Chapman come in. Aroldis Chapman. I don't like to say this, Chappie, but you struggling. Aroldis Chapman pitched the inning last night. He gave up 1 hit, one earned run, and struck out 2. But the 1 hit he gave up was a home run to Anthony Santander, who also had that home run against Severino. And it was, he's a switch hitter. So he had a home run from Severino from the left-hand side and from the right-hand side against Chapman. So, I just don't know what it is for Chapman for the rest of the season, guys. Honestly, if this continues, if this trajectory keeps going as it's going, I think the Yankees are going to come to have to make a hard decision at the trade deadline. It's a move that I wouldn't want to make, Honestly, just because I've loved what Chapman has been to this team for these past few years, especially, if it wasn't for Aroldis Chapman, we would have never got Gleyber Torres from the Chicago Cubs. So if we're being honest, Chapman, he helped build this team. When you look at Gleyber Torres and you look at I think we got a reliever back in return. I forgot who it was, but getting Gleyber Torres back from Chicago for Aroldis Chapman for half of a season and him coming back to us, you can't hate him. I know he's struggling. I don't want to throw him to the wolves right now. Let's just see what happens. But Luis Severino, after yesterday's game, he's 3-0 on the season. So let's see what happens with Sevy for the rest of the year. But on to these Baltimore Orioles. Now, Cedric Mullins is an interesting player. He is on a team-friendly contract. They have control over the next 3 to 4 years. But he's a guy that I would love to see with the Yankees. I know if the Yankees in Baltimore make a move since it's interdivision, it's going to be, Volpe, Dominguez, all the top Yankee prospects involved in the trade, and that's when I hang up the phone. But Cedric Mullins is a phenomenal player. He started off the game yesterday, leading off, playing center field, 0 for 4. Trey Mancini was a DH. He was 0 for 3 last night. The aforementioned Anthony Santander, who had 2 home runs yesterday, was 2 for 4. You got Urias, the shortstop, was 0 for 3 last night. The former Yankee, the bearded one, Rugi Odor, the man with the right hand. You guys remember what happened between him and Jose Bautista, but Rugi's right hand hits well. He was 1 for 4 last night. Nevin, the first baseman, was 0 for 3. McKenna, the left fielder, was 0 for 3. Ronald Chirinos, the catcher, was 0 for 3. And then you had Bannon, the third baseman, was 0 for 2. 0 for 2. On to the pitching side, Bradish, who started off pretty well. I'm not going to lie. He was good in the first few innings. He pitched 4 1/3. He gave up 8 hits, 4 earned runs. He did walk 3, and he struck out 6. Aiken, who came in after him, pitched 3 1/3 of an inning. He gave up 1 hit, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. But my guy Bautista, that's the gentleman who gave up the solo home runs to Josh Donaldson and to Anthony Rizzo, the back-to-backs, the belly-to-bellies. Bautista pitched the inning yesterday, gave up 2 hits, 2 runs, a walk, and he had a strikeout. The losing pitcher for record was Bradish yesterday. His record is 1-2 on the season. But hey, if you're the Yankees, and when you're going into Camden Yards, this is the mindset you have to have, right? Last year, the big reason why the Yankees were in that 1-game playoff, that wild card game, was because we didn't handle the Baltimore Orioles like the Red Sox did, like the Tampa Bay Rays did. We need to beat up on the Orioles in order to win this division. In 2019, the last time the Yankees won a division, the Yankees were 19-2 versus the Baltimore Orioles. So in the 21 games that we played against the Baltimore Orioles in 2019, we won 19 and we only lost 2. So far this year, we are 2-2 against the Orioles. The Orioles early in the season took 2 out of 3 games against us. That was the only series that we've lost this year. So starting off today pretty well. Yesterday against them. We have tonight's game. Hold on, let me just double check who's the starter for tonight. The line coming later on tonight. And also to follow me on Twitter. If you're not following on Twitter, Yankees KOD on Twitter, Yankees Morning Brew on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter because I think we're going to start posting the lineup when they get called out. When the lineups come out, I think we'll tweet it to let you guys know around 5 o'clock. So follow me on Twitter so you can keep getting all this news that you're getting. Follow the Nice to DJ also on Twitter just so you can stay up on what we're doing. We got a lot of things that's going on over here. But tonight's game against the Orioles, boom, boom, boom. We got Jameson Taillon versus Spencer, and I'm gonna try to pronounce this right, Watkins. I'm pretty happy that I was able to get that right because it's my speech impediment. But Watkins is pitching for Baltimore tonight. Jameson Taillon is 3-1 on the season. He has a 2.93 ERA. He has a 1.17 WHIP, And in 30 innings, he's only given up 33 hits, 25 walks. But this is my favorite number. In 30 and 2/3 of an inning, Jameson Taillon has only issued 3 walks. Let that sink in. Just hold that right there. In 30.2 innings, he's only given 3 free passes. That's winning baseball. That's baseball, Susan. But Watkins on the season, he's 0-1. He has a 5.19 ERA. His whip is above 1.5, is 1.58. And in 26 innings, he's given up 29 hits, 13 Ks. And check this out. In 26 innings, this pitcher has walked 12 batters. So when you look at Taillon, 30.2 innings, is only giving out 3 walks compared to a pitcher that's pitched less innings but giving out 12 walks. I'll take Taillon all the time. And that's the winning formula for baseball. Last year when we first got Taillon and he was struggling, he was giving out a lot of walks. He wasn't able to find the strike zone. But so far, this early part of the season, he's able to live in the strike zone. He's able to get that first pitch strike, and he's able to get ahead of batters. And that's what we need. Just some other notes real quick before we move on. Today in Yankees history, in 1998, on May 17th, your guy's boomer, David Wells, threw a perfect game. So in 1998, in Yankees history, David Wells threw a perfect game. I think I was, a snot-nosed kid watching Power Rangers, not too big in the Yankees back then. But I know my uncle was jumping up and down. Let's go over real quick. Luis Severino, as I'm going to keep on saying, as the season is going on, as he's getting more reps out there, as the innings are piling up. Aaron Boone said it in the press conference last night, if you guys didn't check it out. But he said this version of Severino is a lot more mature than the older version of Severino. And I can 100% agree with that. I always tell people, when you look at the year that Severino got injured back in 2018, in 2017 is when he got injured. But that first half of the year was phenomenal. Him and Jacob deGrom, it was neck and neck of who's the best pitcher in baseball, who's the best pitcher in New York. But in 2017, there was a game against the Houston Astros in Houston where for some reason the Houston Astro players weren't biting on his slider, weren't swinging at that slider that was just nasty. But then it comes out years later that they were cheating with the whole, trash can scenario. So if you look at that game and then you put into account that they weren't swinging at the slider because they knew it was coming, and then you seen after that game, Luis Severino just got into his head and was just trying to pump 103 miles an hour from every pitch, overexerting himself, which ended up leading to his injury that he had in 2017. So we can't jump in a time capsule. We can't do a hypothetical to be like, oh, if they never did that, if they were never doing the trash can, Severino would have never got hurt. We can't say that. But what I can say is that game messed Severino up psychologically and had him throwing extra, trying to strike out every batter with 103 mile per hour fastball. But seeing what Severino is doing right now looks great. Yeah, he does look great. He looks phenomenal. But seeing what Severino was doing right now, this year, if we keep getting this from Severino, he may get a call to the All-Star game. He may, alongside Nestor Cortez and Garrett Cole. Who knows? We may have 2 to 3 Yankees at the All-Star game from the starting pitching rotation. We never know. But let's see. I think I have one more graphic up. 1 second. So last night, right, when it comes to Severino, pitch breakdown. His four-seam fastball, he threw it 49 different occasions. Last night, he threw his four-seamer 49 times. And all that four-seamers, the opponents were 0 for 10, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks, and they grounded into 1 double play. Now, off his changeup, opponents, he threw it 22 times. The Orioles were 0 for 5. 2 strikeouts on that changeup. Now, when it comes to his slider, last night he threw it 12 times. The opponents were 1 for 4, 3 strikeouts, and a home run. And I must say, that home run that Anthony Santander got off of that slider, it was a slider that was well out of the strike zone, that was on the bottom half of the strike zone, and it looked like it was a golf swing. So it's more credit to Santander's ability to hit a pitch that low and out of a strike zone than Severino just leaving a meatball up there. Honestly, 9 times out of 10, if you ask Anthony Santander, he's probably popping that pitch up. But this was the one time he was able to drive it. Like I said, it looked like a golf swing. That's how low the pitch was. But he was able to drive it out for a home run. Off his cutter, he threw it 12 times to 12 different batters. They were 0 for 0, no hits, but he hit a batter with it. But he's mixing it in there. He's letting people know that he has a different option when it comes to the cutter. Total on the night, he threw 95 pitches, 55 of them were strikes. So he was getting a lot of first pitch strikes. He was living in a lot of 3-2 counts. But when he had to make the pitch, he made the pitch. And like I said, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Luis Severino. What we're getting from Severino is what we should have been getting from Garrett Cole last year. You know, I'm not going to beat up on Garrett Cole that much, but what we're getting from Luis Severino this year, coming back off of an injury, we all know Tommy John is not a injury that people can rehab like it's a stub toe. But it was a Tommy John, it was a shoulder injury. Anytime last year when he picked it back up, he had another injury. So Severino, he's been injury ridden these past few years. He has fought back. He has done the work when it comes to rehabbing, putting in the work, not just, on the mound, but just behind the scenes when it comes to dissecting at batters, being able to understand that you have to give some and take some off, keeping them off balance. This is a well mature version of Luis Severino. And I'm happy to see it. Luis Severino, he's always been one of those Yankees prospects that we've been hearing about him from years and years and years. I remember when the Yankees signed him when he was 16 years old, they were talking about him. But then he blossomed into this prospect, into this talent that we're seeing right now. And I gotta love it. Gotta love it. But I'm gonna just quick note around the league real quick. Let's just go around the league and just check out what happened yesterday in baseball. Hold on one second. Now there's a little argument that's going on, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on the mainstreams, but it's which MLB town has the best baseball atmosphere. When you look over to the West Coast and you look over to Los Angeles, you got the Dodgers who are in first place. And then you have the Los Angeles Angels who are tied for first place with the Houston Astros. Then when you look over to the East Coast, you have the Yankees with the best record in baseball. And then you got the Mets with the second best record in baseball. So when you got these two juggernauts on both coasts, LA with the West Coast with the Dodgers and the Angels, the Yankees and the Mets on the East Coast, it just makes for great baseball. It just makes for a great fandom, a good rivalry. We got the Subway Series over here in New York City. But over in LA, they got the Freeway Series. They got the Expressway Series. They got the I'm going to be stuck in traffic for 3.5 hours before I get to the next stadium. That's the energy they have over there. But it's good for baseball overall when you have those two markets whose both teams are top in baseball. When you got the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers, and Angels, it just makes just baseball so much better. And this is what MLB needs, especially when you got the Reds who are struggling, the Washington Nationals who are struggling, the White Sox who were supposed to be better. They're 17-17 right now, but they're struggling as well. The Boston Red Sox, they're struggling. They're about to hit the reset button. It's just a lot going on. Hold on one second. Oh, if you guys didn't see yesterday, also there was an Orioles fan who got his first ball yesterday. A little kid, probably like 3 or 4 years old, but he threw it right back into the stand. If you guys haven't seen that, go watch that video. I wish I could pull it up, but go watch that video. But hold on one second. When you look around the standings in MLB, Yankees are 26-9. The Tampa Bay Rays lost yesterday, so that gives us more space. We're 5.5 games up on Tampa Bay. So, right now the Yankees got to make up as much space and put as many games as they can between us and Tampa Bay, because we all know Tampa Bay always figures it out towards the end of the year. During the season, Tampa Bay will figure it out. Tampa Bay will probably call up some prospects that'll be the next David Price, Evan Longoria. We never know. But Tampa Bay, that's a team that I always am scared of. That's a team I'm always wary of. So right now, Yankees are 26-9, 5.5 games for first place above Tampa Bay. So I would try to make that as many games as I can. Honestly, I don't feel comfortable. I know it's 5.5 games. This is the early part of the season. I understand that. But just even if this was September, the beginning of September, end of August, I still wouldn't feel comfortable just because Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay. On to the Central, the Minnesota Twins, 21-15. They lost last night. The Houston Astros, like I said, 23-13, are tied for first place with the Angels. Angels are 24-14, but the Astros lost last night. The Mets lost last night against the Seattle Mariners. Sorry to you Met fans out there, but the Mets are 23-13. That was a good game, though. Was a good game. The Phillies lost last night also, so they're 17-18. On to the NL Central, you got the Milwaukee Brewers, who are 23-13, who are having a phenomenal year. But again, you got St. Louis, who was right on their tail at 19-15. They're 3 games behind them. So you got to watch out for that NL Central race. The St. Louis Cardinals and the Milwaukee Brewers, the rest of that division is the rest of that division. But the St. Louis Cardinals and the Milwaukee Brewers, that's going to be an interesting race to see for the entire season. But then over to, one of my favorite divisions, the NL West, you got the Dodgers at 22-12. The Padres are 22-13. The Giants are 21-14. But then you have the Diamondbacks 18-18, and the Rockies are 17-18. There was a time last week where every one of these teams were above 500 by 3 games. But the Rockies and the Diamondbacks have been struggling, brings it back to records. But when it comes to the Diamondbacks, there's been a lot of rumbles, especially from like Diamondback fans on Twitter, that the Diamondbacks need to hit that reset button. And if the Diamondbacks hit that reset button, I would love to see Ketel Marte in a Yankees uniform. Either Ketel Marte or Brian Reynolds, either one of those 2 center fielders, I think will be a Yankee by the end of the year. Now, when it comes to what we're going to have to give up to get them, that's going to be the issue. Because if those teams, especially we already know the Pirates are rebuilding, but if both of those teams hit the reset button, both of the teams are going to want every prospect that you have. They're going to want the next Gleyber Torres. They're going to want your Anthony Volpe. They're going to want your Jason Dominguez. So I have right now the Yankees 2022 top 10 prospects. And this is according to Baseball America. So you got the one, Anthony Volpe. We all know Anthony Volpe is a top prospect in the Yankees farm system. He's a shortstop. But then we have Oswald Peraza, another shortstop right underneath him. We got the Martian, El Marchand, Jason Dominguez. That's Jason with 2 S's right behind him as well. Then you have Luis Hill, who is ranked as the fourth best Yankee prospect. Then you have Austin Wells, who is a catcher. You guys know Austin Wells. He is a switch hitting catcher. No, he's a left-hand hitting catcher. His defense is pretty suspect. The bat's there, but his defense is not there. Eventually, I could see Austin Wells having to move positions, probably first base or the outfield. He's athletic enough that he could play the outfield. But then the 6th best prospect, and I'm going to try to pronounce this right. Please, if you're out there listening, do not get upset at me if I say this, but Hayden Wojnarowski is the sixth best prospect in the Yankee system, followed by another shortstop, Trey Sweeney. Then you have Oswald Cabrera, who is a second baseman / third baseman, followed by a pitcher that I truly love and I followed for a long time, Luis Medina. And then you have Ken Waldichuk, the left-hander, rounding out the top 10 for the Council prospects. Now, we got to be realistic if we're Yankee fans, and I'll cut it off right after this. But if we're going to trade for Reynolds or if we're going to trade for Ketel Marte, we have to come to the reality that we're going to have to get rid of or just part ways with few of our top prospects, whether that's Volpe, whether that's Peraza, whether that's Dominguez, and so on and so on. Personally, me, Volpe, Dominguez, Medina, and Sweeney, those four prospects to me should be untouchable. You can have your Oswald Peraza. You can have your Luis Hill. You can take Austin Wells. You can take Hayden Wojnarowski. You can take Oswaldo Cabrera. And you could take Ken Waldichuk. But Trey Sweeney, Luis Medina, Anthony Volpe, Jason Dominguez, those four prospects are untouchable. Those four prospects, I'm not letting go. So Yankee fans, like I said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tune in to the Yankees Morning Brew. We will be back tomorrow. Follow me on Twitter so you can get the pregame notification of who's the lineup's going to be. And like always, if you see a neighbor out there who needs help with some groceries, if you see someone out there who just needs a high, don't be scared. It's always peace, love, and sports over here. But like always, y'all, deuces.